Oh, look at that. I was muted the entire time I was telling you guys about my better audio. So what a fantastic start to this. Um, like I said, I noticed that I was a little soft in my previous videos, so I'm trying to make the audio a little bit better. If this is better, give me a thumbs up. If watching me speak silently for the first 5 minutes of this stream was what you came here to do, well, mission accomplished. You got to see that. And yeah, let's actually move on to doing something other than speaking silently. Now, another thing that I had talked about in that moment of silence there was the fact that I had tested out streaming on Windows because I actually have a Windows partition because it makes updating the firmware on my laptop easier. And because of that, I switched over to it and just like tested out the whole streaming thing. And just the GPU driver support is so much better on Windows that I'm actually thinking about doing that. But I don't know if that would be horrible because everything I do is on Linux. I work on Linux. The only thing I don't do on Linux is gaming. But everything about streaming works better on Windows. So I don't know. I might do this stream on Windows unless if everybody would protest. All right, that being said, let's get into the real content that you came here to see, not me speaking silently. Hopefully the audio is better. I've tried to make it a little bit louder. I know I was a little soft in previous streams, so hopefully I'm not nearly as soft. All right. So let's jump into that clickbait. EC2 is dead and it's being deprecated. That's not entirely true. EC2 Classic networking is being retired. So when EC2 first launched, basically there was no such thing as a VPC. And so your networking was all in one VPC. Basically, that was every account was its own VPC. And that is getting retired. And that was what was launched in 2006. Very few people still work on this, at least that I know of. Most people work off of the VPC, the 2009. Like, this is very old that it's been here. So I think a lot of people are working off of the new architecture, and so you shouldn't really have to worry about it. But if you are on EC2 Classic, it is being removed. So you're going to have to take some steps to update that and mitigate that. So let's talk about our cloud news because really there was only one security thing, and we're going to just slide that right in between. Yeah, we're gonna slide the security right in between the cloud and the rest of the stuff. There was there's ongoing security things, but I kind of feel bad to like repeat the exact same things. There's more revelations in Pegasus, but I mean, yeah, how much should I cover about how Apple's walled garden is actually hurting consumers and not helping them? I'll try not to harp on that too often. So, okay, so let's talk about AWS. AWS had a couple of things. So another thing, I guess this was AWS Deprecation Day because they are also removing Internet Explorer 11. I don't know that this is going to hurt anybody either. It's getting removed, so I guess if you're using Internet Explorer 11, you're not going to have effective support for their website in late 2021. So I don't know if that really affects anybody. I hope it doesn't affect anybody. That's my hope. All right, so here we have another thing from Amazon, which is their Route 53 application recovery controller, which is just basically another thing around DNS. We've seen so many issues around DNS and how it can cause some of the most major outages. So the latest cloud outages that we've had have all been caused by DNS failures. And so, yeah, this is just adding more resiliency to your AWS. So check it out. If you're in AWS and use Route 53, it's definitely worth checking out. And that's pretty much the only things I saw exciting from AWS, unless if anybody else saw anything else exciting. Yep, that's it. All right, so we'll move on to Google. So Google released basically just what's new with Google in Q2, which is actually, I'm probably going to cover this more than I do like their regular blog, because their regular blog is actually really hard to follow. I try, and if I notice anything big, I'm definitely will bring it up. But I'm going to go over and do a review of their what's new in their quarters, because this is much easier to find the specific new things. I find that their blog has a ton of stuff trying to sell me on GCP and not what's new. We already covered the Teu VMs, so we won't cover that. We covered a lot of this. I know that I talked about the ML-based predictive auto-scaling for managed instance groups. This is really cool. If you don't remember it, you should check this predictive auto-scaling out. It's one of the things I would like to highlight. It's something that you could be really useful to you if maybe you're not using Kubernetes, but maybe even if you are using Kubernetes. Another thing that came into was their network connectivity service or center. Again, we're going to talk about zero trust in just a little bit, but zero trust is really important, and zero trust a lot of times comes around your network. And so this, again, their connectivity center allows you to connect to some other things that might help you implement something like that. And they also added high bandwidth computing, or networking, sorry, not computing, and firewall. Firewall insights. These are less interesting. Storage. This one is actually a big one where they had some stuff. I am going to put this article in the description of this video. So if you're interested in finding more of these, I'm just trying to give a nice highlight over some of the things that I've noticed over the last quarter. So they added some backup and recovery, and their extreme persistent disk tier is generally available. This is the one that I was talking about. So talking about databases and just getting your data quickly, this extreme persistent disk is really super valuable and completely underutilized, I think. But yeah, so if you're trying to run some stuff that really needs that extreme persistent storage, this is something to definitely check out. And then obviously they had stuff around their containers and serverless. Most of this was like seccomp support and some Anthos stuff. I didn't really notice anything majorly groundbreaking there. Don't get me wrong, seccomp is definitely worth checking out if you don't know what it is for your security of your Kubernetes cluster. And actually last week I pointed you to a seccomp operator that a friend of mine worked on and is now in the CNCF. So if you're wanting to look into that, definitely look into that. And in that video, I also linked to some seccomp material. So go ahead and check that out because it's definitely worth looking at. Yeah, and let's look at this extreme persistence disks here. This is just the... Yeah, this is fantastic maximum IOPS. It's pretty fantastic. So anyways, I thought that this was pretty exciting, and I don't know. Maybe you guys don't need it. And if you don't need it, don't use it. That's what I've always said. Silent and now good. So this is good? Perfect. Yeah, I'm an idiot, and I'm not very good at streaming. But yeah, hopefully the audio is a little bit better for you guys. How are you? How are you doing today? Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. All right. The thing that I thought that slipped under the disk, the radar slipped under the radar is the saying. Don't hold me to American sayings. Something that slipped under the radar was their Google Enterprise API. So they have this new designation for Google Enterprise APIs, and basically now you can actually sort for the API library. You can actually sort Google Enterprise APIs as a category, which is good. But basically, I didn't see a whole lot posted on this, which I thought was just a little bit interesting. But what it means is like this API is ready for enterprise use. Now, the weird thing was when I went on Learn More and was like digging into their enterprise APIs, like they didn't promise they wouldn't change it. They just said they would try not to change it, which was weird. Like, I don't know. They just said that they would try not to change it, but it's good. They actually have a designation now, which means that you can rely on these more, I would say. Like, it's much safer to build stuff off of any of these APIs now that they have given this soft guarantee. That's what I'll call it. So yeah, this is good. This is really good. All right, so Azure, I didn't see anything in Azure, but Microsoft did release something on Lemon Duck, which I thought was worth bringing up. This is my security little piece that I was talking about. Anyway, Lemon Duck and Lemon Cat, if you don't know, this is why I really get upset with cryptocurrency. No, this is not the only reason I get really upset at cryptocurrency. Okay, 1 second. Small little rant here. One of the reasons I get really upset at cryptocurrencies is because blockchain and distributed consensus is actually really cool and could actually be solving real world problems. Instead, we use it to do nothing but mine a token and basically waste electricity. That's like my big problem with cryptocurrency, is that it encourages us to waste electricity for not doing anything. But the blockchain itself and distributed consensus and all of that is actually really cool and could solve really interesting and unique problems. We just don't do it. And yeah, you're absolutely right. AWS, Azure, and GCP have so many services. It is very difficult to learn as a new person. Actually, this is why I recommend everybody just use those free tiers that all of them have and just start doing stuff. Even I have so many little stupid projects that I use just to learn one aspect. So if you're talking, let's flip over to this API library. I would encourage anybody to pick one of these and learn it. Anthos is a great one. Learn Anthos. If you're wanting to learn a piece of technology, learn Anthos right here, right now. Do something with it. It might even cost you $5. I don't even know that there's a free tier for it. But you just do something little with it, and that's a great way to learn it. So that's my recommendation. And also, don't worry about learning the big picture. If VPCs confuse you and are causing you problems, don't worry about it. Just don't do it. Just pretend like they don't exist. In AWS, there's default VPCs, and you can kind of use them without worrying that there's an actual VPC. And so that's my recommendation. If you're just getting started, just learning, focus on one thing and just learn on that, and just use that, and it will be fine. You'll be fine. Learn it one little piece at a time. All right, so we're back to Lemon Duck and Lemon Cat. So yeah, anyways, that's my first problem with cryptocurrency, is just the sheer. I feel because of the token offerings, everybody lost track of what these things could actually do for us. That would be my first thing. The second thing is everyone that abuses everything to mine cryptocurrency, and it just rubs me the wrong way. Here Microsoft has made a huge blog article on how this does it, how it finds initial access with all the CVEs, and how they leverage this to get on your infrastructure and mine cryptocurrency, of course, because that's what we do when we get on you. This is actually really great because basically they actually go through a lot of like how people get on these computers, and how some of it is just like your normal, the truth of COVID-19, and whatnot. So anyways, worth a good read. It was definitely a good read, probably about 20 minutes if you read it in depth. But I really like it that Microsoft releases these security things. That being said, this does bring us to Zero Trust. Microsoft is put another article. If you guys don't know what Zero Trust is, this is another thing that you're going to learn in the cloud that might start out a little confusing and a little bit difficult. But there was this SolarGate attack way early in 2021, and basically it was a supply chain attack, but a lot of it would have been mitigated if more Zero Trust has been adopted. And Zero Trust is basically where you don't trust anything, which sounds... One second. That's an alarm. Like I said, I'm not very good at this streaming thing. All right. Zero Trust is basically where you verify explicitly everything. Everybody has the least privileges needed to accomplish their job, and you assume breach. That's basically the principles of Zero Trust. If you want to know more, I found this great article from Microsoft that basically goes over all of that. And yeah, verify explicitly, least privilege, assume breach, and they go over a summary. But if you want to see a really good proof of this working, Cloudflare is a company for security that I really, really like. And if you're wanting to see how Zero Trust can help you, and this isn't about not trusting your employees. Let me reiterate this. This isn't about not trusting your employees. This is, if your employees get hacked, it's very good to have this in place. And so earlier this year, or maybe it was late last year, not sure exactly when. I want to say it was earlier this year. I covered this. Yeah, it was in 2021, March 2020, or just a little bit ago. There was the whole Veradadek. I don't know how to pronounce their camera name. I practiced this before the one stream that I was going to have to say this. Anyways, their whole camera infrastructure in 21 was hacked. But Cloudflare itself dog foods its own product, which is really cool. And because of that, they actually work on a Zero Trust model. And they proved that when they taunted them here, that like they could get on their laptop, they went through and explained exactly how it didn't even matter if they were able to do that. And not only that, they could actually prove that they hadn't gotten on his laptop. So if that's what if you're new to it, this is definitely worth reading and watching, because I wouldn't watch it because it's not a video, but I would definitely read it because it definitely gives you a really good insight into what Zero Trust means. And that's pretty much it for our cloud. We have a couple more little things. So migrating Facebook to MySQL 8.0. You can find a lot of database migration guides and whatnot because database migrations are notoriously painful. Yeah, that's the best I can say. Database migrations are notoriously painful. But Microsoft, I saw mitigating Facebook or migrating. I can't read in the morning either. I can't read anytime, but it's worse in the morning. Anyways, Facebook did a really good blog article here on it, and so yeah, it's worth reading, especially if you use MySQL. It goes over a lot of the patches and what their migration path looked like with some videos, so you could actually watch this. And so it's definitely worth a very good read, especially if you use MySQL. I don't even use MySQL, and I really enjoyed this read. So definitely think you guys should go ahead and read that if you if you haven't. All right, so 6 in every $10 spent on cloud infrastructure is with AWS, Microsoft, or Google. I'm actually confused by this. Are they comparing this to data centers? Because does that mean that a DigitalOcean and Linode have $4 of every $10? That's actually a way bigger market share than I would have expected them to have, which is cool, but I'm not sure is actually true. And I'm not excluding. I know that there's a plethora of smaller ones, like Civo is one of my personal favorites for Kubernetes. But But yeah, anyways, I found that interesting. Thought I'd share that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All right, this is one last little bit of security. Lockbit ransomware now encrypts Windows domains using group policies. Again, I'm not big on Windows, so let me know if you guys don't want me to cover any Windows, because I can't give you a whole lot. BitLocker is like their hard drive encryption, and so somehow they're getting around that hardware encryption to lock your drive on you. So yeah, anyways, be watching for that. All right, let's move on to the random news. We got through the cloud. Now, I know some of you guys are probably wondering why I'm not talking about the upcoming release of Kubernetes 122 that's coming out Wednesday. And that's because Wednesday, you guys are going to get my release notes on Kubernetes. So I chronically don't actually cover its release because it gets its own whole video to itself. But enough said. Kubernetes 122 is scheduled for release this Wednesday. Yep, this Wednesday. Actually, it took me by a little bit of surprise. I thought it was the Wednesday after, and then I had a little bit more time. And the fact is, it is not. And so, yeah, it's this Wednesday. So I will be recording that and editing it tonight. Yeah, we'll see how good that video comes out. Anyways, it's good one to watch. There's actually a lot of things getting removed, so you really should watch it, because if you're on some of the beta APIs, they're getting removed, and you should know about it. Okay, so I do have a little bit of funny news. Intel said that it sees chip shortage that could last until 2023. So when I saw that, classically, I was like, I wonder how many chips Intel is selling. How do you have a chip shortage when you're not selling CPUs? Like, I don't know how Intel has a chip shortage. Now, obviously, this is consumer, and some of this is me poking fun of Intel's blunder, because they also have server chips that make up a lot of what they sell. If you're looking at the cloud servers, a lot of those are Intel based. So obviously they're still selling chips and still making money. I just wanted to poke fun at them. Yep. All right, let's move on to some more actual random news. This is a cool blog on building a cross-platform desktop application with Redis, Rust, and this other thing, which I won't pronounce. I thought it was cool. This is like one of the things that doesn't use Node to do cross-platform application, and it used Rust. So definitely check it out. I thought it was a cool read. I'm only about halfway through it at this point. I'm like right here. I don't really like Redis, so I kind of stopped right here, but I'll probably finish it. But so far, it was a good read, and if you're into Rust or wanting to get into Rust, definitely check it out. Very easy Rust there. So, all right, this was cool. GitLab has a new open source tool that's there to detect malicious code. I haven't used it, but it's called Package Hunter. Oh no. Well, Package Hunter uses another open source project, and I had it. I thought it was supposed to be the next tab. It's not the next tab. Disorganization for the win. Anyways, it's cool. You should definitely check it out. You know what? I bet I have it again later on. So we're just going to recover this later, because I think I moved this all towards my repository where I do my open source projects shout out. So anyways, this is interesting and definitely worth checking out. Is their new open source cool tool called Package Hunter. All right, this was interesting. So GitHub is really very good about open source. I know some people complain. I did see the outsourcing to TSMC from Intel. You're absolutely right, which would actually make them constrained by other people's requests as well. You're absolutely correct on that. I was just poking fun at them. But yeah, when you say that you have a chip shortage and you're not selling chips, it's like, well, are you manufacturing them in the first place? The chip shortage sucks. I'm not going to lie. All right, so I have still yet... I wanted to get a 3070 to do like machine learning on the 3070 and how good it is at the 3070. And I was like, I'm going to do this for you guys with every iteration of the GPU, and it's going to be great. I still haven't gotten a 3070. And at this point, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to wait for the 40s. Like, I know that sounds lame, but like, one, I don't have a ton of money, and so like that saves me some money. And two, like, I don't want to get one now that it's this late. And the 30s or the 40s are probably going to come out next year anyway, so the chip shortage sucks, like I said. Let's move on to something less sucky. And this is the Developer Defense Fund. So basically, GitHub gave the Stanford Law a bunch of money to defend developers, which is cool. Yeah, because it's hard to stand up for your rights. The DMAC is written to strike complicated balance between innovation, whatever. They say it a lot better because they're lawyers. But basically, this is there to help developers who need legal help and legal advice and whatnot. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're an open source developer and have your own open source projects and whatnot. So I would definitely check it out if I was you. I don't know why this isn't with the other NVIDIA stuff. Intel does think that it has a lot of people that want to build its chips. I'm not convinced. Oh, another exciting blog post. So this one was from the .NET open source projects. Now, if a lot of people don't realize, yes, Tesla did rewrite some code to survive, and they took out like their radar system. I'm not convinced that was the best choice, but they took out stuff just because of the chip shortage. So I know everybody's feeling it. The .NET open source project, a lot of people don't realize Microsoft has is one of the largest contributors to open source projects, no matter how you slice it. Whether you're talking about the most number of projects donated to open source or the most number of paid contributors to open source, they do a ton of open source. And the whole .NET source code is one of it. The .NET Core and .NET 5, I believe, is open source and is kind of the marrying of .NET Core. And again, I'm not big into that. I'm not a .NET developer. I can write enough C# to like get a functioning thing, but I wouldn't interview in it. So anyways, they released this on the open source project, and it goes over. I'm only about halfway through it. I'm down to about right here. But so far, it's a really interesting conversation between the people that really started it and just like how they stumbled a couple of times. And I'm not sharing my screen because I'm a scrub. So it's actually a really interesting read on the .NET Core project and about some of their core developers that have worked on it. And so, again, the link will be in the description of the video, and you should definitely go ahead and read that if you're interested in Microsoft's contribution to open source. Oh, this was good. I wanted to show you guys this. I think these people say that Agile is here today. I think Agile is either in this trough of disillusionment, which this word, trough, is the reason I hate the English language. I know, it's the only one I speak. And English is like bash. It's spoken everywhere, and it's horrible. That's English. So it is your universal language to do things with, but it really sucks. That's English. And unfortunately, I only speak bash. That's horrible. I'm sad now. I'm gonna learn another language. French, here I come. No, I'm just joking. French does this too. All right. Anyways, I think Agile is bastardized in many, many companies. I have seen very few do it really well. There are some that do it well, but I think the big problem is Agile is really people over process, which means that really you can't have a firm agile because it's all about the people you have. And so to be people over process, you have to be really flexible. And I don't see that in a lot of companies. So yes. And the people that do it best probably actually don't say that they strictly hold to agile, but I would say that they're strictly holding to agile in the fact that they're doing people over process. So, anyways, maybe I'm still in the trough of disillusionment, or maybe I'm in the slope of enlightenment. I'm not quite sure. Sometimes I think people are at the peak of inflated expectations, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I like being wrong because it means I learned something. All right. I don't know that I like being wrong. I don't mind being wrong. All right. Because being right means that I learned something previously. So I'm also okay with being right. All right. Anyways, DevOps still rarely done well at scale. This study concluded. I read the study because I was really interested. I think that they misunderstood some of the DevOps. DevOps is, again, a community culture. This is like saying you did your culture wrong. And I think the reason I bring it up and the reason I'm going to give you guys the link is that it actually has some really good information about how you can form your culture to work better. But for me, DevOps is, again, the culture of your engineering teams and how they communicate effectively together. And now you can have teams that manage this and are your DevOps teams that, I'm sorry, I just smacked the mic. It's closer than I'm used to, and because I'm part Italian, I speak with my hands consistently. I blame the Italian side of me. I'm like half Italian. I'm not sure why I blame the Italians, except all the Italians I know speak with their hands, so that's... Anyways, going on. It's really a culture. So I think they have some really good points in here, how your culture can be effective. And you know what? Everything is hard at scale. So I would say almost nothing is done effectively at scale. This is why we still have major cloud players like AWS and Azure and GCP that go down. It's hard to do things effectively at scale. So I don't know. Moving on. All right, here's this. This one's fun. I found this. I don't know how accurate they are. I hope they're more accurate than I know. I found out that I'm underpaid. That's what I found out. But I thought it was cool to go over some Kubernetes job offerings. So they do a quarterly report. So I've actually pinned this. I'm going to keep us up to date every single time this comes out. So once every 3 months, I'm going to report basically Kubernetes job offers. And it goes over a bunch of stuff from salary range, like I said, underpaid. To where are they remote or office and remote or optional remote or office only, basically, and how it's changed from the quarters previously. So it was cool to read, especially, if you are looking at changing jobs, you might be able to use this as, you negotiate a salary. I sure wish I had. And doesn't require being on call. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so definitely check it out. It had a lot of really great stats on it, and I'm gonna try to cross-verify this with anybody else that's out there. Actually, I did, and from what I saw from my quick googling, actually how I cross-verified this wasn't that I went to like some known business site. I actually just went like on job postings for Kubernetes, and I'm almost thinking that's what they did. Like they did a big scrape of it because it pretty much lined up with what I was seeing. And so, yeah, anyways, interesting statement. It looks accurate as far as I can tell. I thought Kubernetes platforms we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that just yet. We're going to talk about this Triton. Triton is a new open source GPU programming for neural networks. So basically, it's a new language that's like Python. I haven't tried it. Maybe I'll make a video on it if I get the time to try it. I don't know. I have a backlog of stuff to do. But basically, it's for programming GPUs. Now, if any of you have done this, there's libraries like CUDA, and you can do CUDA, and maybe I need to do a CUDA video because I do know how to program CUDA. But basically, it's like CUDA, except not CUDA, and supposed to be easier because CUDA is not easy by any means. So yeah, this is basically what it looks like. And yeah, it allows you to do vector math really easily on your GPUs. So check out this blog article. I don't know much more than this to tell you about it. So check it out yourself if you're interested in that. I'm not the biggest machine learning. I'm an enthusiast machine learning engineer. So like, don't take my words. I think it's really cool and exciting, but there's much bigger experts in the field to tell you. This is the repository. I thought that was cool to check it out. One thing that I can tell you as a new engineer, anytime that you're wanting to get into anything, and this is why I'm so big on community and open source, is this is how I learned. I'm a self-taught engineer. I taught myself because I basically don't have a college degree, and I taught myself everything that I know about computers, about math, and a lot of it was from other people. This is why I take so much time to share myself, is because other people help me support my family, and that's what I want to do with you guys. That's why I do so much educational material, even though that's not a big thing on YouTube. Yeah. Anyways, so one of my things that I like to tell people that are trying, go take an open source project and see how they did it. Take Triton here and actually see how they did it, how they made a language to program GPUs. This is probably not a great one if you're just starting out because that's probably a hard topic, but definitely go and do something like that. Take a project, learn how they did it, how they solved the project or the problem, and learn from that. It's super valuable, and underdone, I think. All right, this one. This is something I have. This person says that they review more than 1,000 resumes a year, and I know resumes are always this topic, and I do a lot of hiring. I disagree on some of these. Some of these are fantastic, so I think that you should give this a read. Irrelevant hobbies and interests. You know what? I don't mind if they're on there. If you want to put coin collecting, that doesn't bother me. I don't really care either. It's not helping you to put coin collecting. But it's not hurting you in my mind either, so I don't know. Soft skills. I would definitely say yes, remove soft skills. It annoys me when they're like, really good at encouraging people. Well, good job. I don't know. Yeah. Nobody puts their professional I have not found one professional headshot in a resume that I've reviewed, and I review hundreds maybe. Nobody's ever given a professional headshot. Personal pronouns. This is where I'm like, you're kind of being nitpicky. I don't really care. If you say I did this, of course it's redundant because your resume is about you. But I mean, it's how you write English. So like, I get that it's redundant. I guess I wouldn't care. Maybe I'm not that strict. Maybe I need to get more stricter. Maybe I need to get better at English before I can be more stricter. More stricter. That's also the, anyways. Also having the wrong kind of email. I think that it would be a shame to change your email to apply for a job. If you've had the same AOL email and AOL still exists and services it, just apply for my job posting. I will still read your resume. Yeah, I don't care about your mailing address because I do all remote, so I don't really care. Remove it. It also doesn't hurt. Yeah, this is actually a good one. Even if you have 15 years, have an extended resume I can ask for. I like 1 page because that's about as much as I can read. So I do agree with this. But anyways, enough about Resume. This is probably clickbait. 3DFX made graphic card. Supposedly this is official, but this is Twitter, so nothing is official. They're coming back, so we'll see if there's a new graphics card. We'll see if there's a new graphics card on the way, but I doubt it. We'll see though. I cover sci-fi. Okay, guys, I'm really bad. I'm really, really bad at keeping surprises. And not a ton of people watch my news segment, so you can ask my wife. It will be like 2 days, like it'll be like 2 weeks before her birthday, and I'll be like, "Hey, I got you a present." And she's like, "My birthday's in 2 weeks." I was like, "Yeah, but I have it now, and you might as well be using it for the next 2 weeks because I can't contain myself." I have been harping about Risk, and unfortunately, Sci-Fi's unmatched board is like $1,000, and I can't afford that to play around with. I know, Gronkum, are you? I was gonna say 3DFX, like OMG, absolutely. Like it's, I'm half hoping that they actually do something. Like I am half hoping. The little kid inside of me is hoping that we have a new GPU. Most likely, it's like a Dogecoin miner because that's what they would do right now. And it would hurt my soul and my heart. But yes. Anyways, I have this. I don't know what it says. Hopefully this is very nice words on the front of this because I can only read English and that's barely. I have this. I am doing a video on it, but I have to show somebody. That is a single board RISC-V CPU. That's right. I'm so excited about this. I know. Surprise ruined. You're going to have a video on it, and it's coming. And I'm super excited about it. Anyways, we're going back to the news because that's what you guys actually came here for. Sci-Fi is making advancements on the RISC-V processor and making it faster. And it actually looks really cool. And they're working to make it more Linux ready, which I'm really excited about. That being said, they actually released some really cool things. There's this little dog that's being powered by it, the K510. It's a little doggy robot. And yeah, it has 0.3 tops. Yeah, I'll call them tops. Anyways, yep, it's cool. So anyways, I'm very excited about RISC-V. So I cover any news about RISC-V. All right, this is what I was going to say. I thought Kubernetes, is this board under NDA? No, it's not under NDA. This board that I showed you is not under NDA. This board right here, one second, let me switch it back over to here. This board is not under NDA, hopefully. Nope. I will drop a link in my video, which should be coming out in the next couple of weeks, where you might be able to find yourself something like this. Not under NDA though, so I'm fine there. I'm not big enough YouTuber to have anything under NDA. Anyways, I am sorry I got so sidetracked because I get so excited about RISC-V. Okay. That being said, if you guys don't know what RISC-V is, it's an open source architecture for CPUs. So go, or instruction set, open source CPU instruction. Anyways, I'll leave some links in the bottom of this video. That being said, I thought Kubernetes distributions were kind of dead. Like the expanding had stopped and it kind of contracted with something like the sale of Rancher. You know, like the new Kubernetes platforms had died out, but I think I have been proven wrong. I'm kind of happy to be proven wrong. Because not only do we have Sivo, which is a whole new Kubernetes, it's not really a new Kubernetes distribution, but it's a new Kubernetes provider. We have a brand new Kubernetes distribution, which is really cool. It's called Deckhouse. I don't know why it's called Deckhouse, but here it's the NoOps Kubernetes platform. I haven't tried it. They have it getting started. It is open source, so you can go check it out, which I plan on doing. But yeah, a brand new Kubernetes distribution. One thing that I noticed here that I wanted to point out, which I thought was really cool, was that there is a CE and a EE. The EE is you can pay for, and brings many additional features that extend the basic functionality of CE, with all of these things. But what they said is that EE's source is also open, but it's not open source nor free to use. So what that means is while it's a source available, you can go view the source, which I really appreciate, because if you're trying to learn and you're like, how would I provide these things? You can go ahead and check out their source code and you can see it, which is cool. Yeah. So anyways, I haven't really checked it out too much yet, but I plan on checking it out a little bit, especially because like they say, something like Istio service mesh integration. If you can't use Istio on the CE version, that would be a shame. But if all they're saying is that like they make a really easy to use Istio service mesh integration, that's completely acceptable, because Istio is a pain. All right. This is kind of my open source projects announcement segment, guys. I kind of jumped to that without making that statement, but that's what this is. So we could just cover projects and what they are. Here's Apache Cassandra 4.0 is out. So this was just in July 27. I haven't been to the Cassandra website in a while. It's really nice. This is sharp. Anyways, if you guys use Cassandra, look at the release of 4.0. So it brings some really cool stuff, some really cool things around fault tolerance. So definitely check them out if you're into NoSQL databases. All right, this is just a Roam UI for org Roam front end. So basically, you can like map out your org. Kind of cool, kind of fun. Not really that useful. This is what I was talking about earlier, which was the Package Hunter released by GitLab. This is a tool to help you find vulnerable code. And as we talk about vulnerable code is something we should all be looking out for. So you guys should check this out. I haven't used it yet, but what I did find out is that Package Hunter actually under the hood uses Falco. So this is something I covered earlier this year. Falco is done by a company called Sysdig, and Sysdig released Falco into the community. It's under a very good license, the Apache 2. The Apache 2 in the MIT is approved here. And basically, it's a cloud-native runtime security. So you should definitely be checking these types of tools out. But this is built on top of Falco. Package Hunter is. I might do a video on how they're different and how you might use them. But for right now, these are the packages. You can check them out if you're interested in that. And then here's Orbiter. Orbiter Spaceflight Simulator went open source. I love spaceflight simulators. I'm sorry, guys. I know this has nothing to do with any of this other. This was just a great one to end on. Was the Orbiter Spaceflight Simulator is now open source under the MIT. So go give these people some love and start their repository. Ronkum, you are a fast Googler. That's all I can say. You are a fast Googler. And I paid way too much money for it, but it was RISC-V. He probably could have charged an extra $50. And I personally would have bought another one. Or not another one, but I would have still bought it. Because the thing is, with a RISC-V processor right now, you don't buy it because it's cheaper for performance. It's not. But what it's cool is I can start trying to run things on a Risk platform. There's so many things. Like I want to help port Kubernetes to Risk. I want to help with some. I don't work at SUSE anymore, sadly, because I would have. I was starting to help with some of their Risk stuff and would have liked to help bring that to Linux. I helped some with their ARM stuff, not their Risk stuff. And I would have liked to do some of that with Risk. And so I'm looking to help out in that way. Yeah, the single board, they're really cool and they're a lot of fun. I actually do some fun projects with them. I haven't actually made videos about them because I don't know how many people like my channel because it's a lot about Kubernetes. And I don't know if do people want to see my drone that I taught to avoid objects? I don't know. There was a lot of wiring of electronics, and I don't really know if people like to see that. But you can slowly throw a ball at it, and it will avoid it. Don't throw it at it quickly because you'll just break the propellers. And yeah, that was a failed test. But if you slowly throw a ball at it, it will avoid it, which is cool, but I don't really know. I also don't know how to make it that a video. Like, you go too technical and actually show the interesting parts, and it's a boring video, and nobody likes it. You go too high level, and I'm like, you can see this from anybody else. So, I don't know. I'll be thinking about it. Home Assistant is also another really good one. I actually haven't done a whole lot of Home Assistant. Maybe that will be my first foray into those. I'm using Home Assistant now, or starting to play around with it, to do my home automation. So I'm going to revamp my whole home automation with Home Assistant. And so maybe that's where I'll start doing some videos on some single board computers and stuff like that with Home Assistant. That's actually a good one. Yeah, the sky is the limit. I've done some things that have crashed and burned quite badly. Anyways, I'm going to get going. I have some work to do. I have real work to do that I actually get paid for. So I'm going to jump off and get to that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thanks for chatting. I really am encouraged by you guys a lot to keep this up and yeah, help the community out. I have a lot of videos coming out in the next week. Actually, I'm postponing one video. I have one video that I'm really excited about that I have to push out because I don't want to release 4 videos in a single week because I put a lot of work into that. So we have Kubernetes release notes coming up. I've been working on those. Haven't recorded it yet, but I've been working on my script. So hopefully that comes out good. I've been reading over the release notes, which takes like 5 hours to actually read over them and understand what they're saying. And working on which ones I think are most important. You're right about the duck house. Actually, Cluster API is one of the videos I have on the docket to make. I'm a big supporter of Cluster API. And does Deckhouse actually use Cluster API in the backend? Because that would actually be really... I've actually thought there should be a provider that uses Cluster API in the backend. And if not, I've actually been thinking about making it myself because basically that would be awesome. And so if everybody wants to get on board doing that and helping me out, it's kind of a daunting task for a single person. But if there would be other people interested in using Cluster API to make an open source Kubernetes provider, I would help out and I would work on that. I do a lot with operators. Actually, that's one of the videos that's getting postponed till next week. But yeah. Oh, actually, also, while you guys are here, no news next week because I'm going to be traveling on Monday. So I can't do it on Monday and I can't do it on Sunday because I'm traveling on Sunday too for a family reunion. Just an immediate family, so it's all quarantined people, but an immediate family reunion. So I won't be able to do this. And instead of that, I'm going to release my new video on Monday. So you'll still get a new video from me. It just won't be the live news. So anyways, I'll see you guys live in 2 weeks. I should have said this at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to put it in the notes, though. All right. Thanks, guys. I do really have to get going. And yeah, we should talk more about Deckhouse. Maybe once I know more about it, we can have a little bit more of a conversation about it. If it uses Cluster API, That would be interesting. I was gonna say I looked straight at the Go mod and I didn't see anything in Cluster API. So if you're I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Grisha. I'm calling you Grisha. Tell me if I'm wrong, and I'll buy you a fun fizzy drink if I ever meet you, if I'm mispronouncing your name horribly. But Grisha, if you're wanting to help me make one based off of Cluster API, I have done work with Cluster API. I'm actually looking to contribute to Cluster API, which is a hard problem. And I'm going to make videos on how to contribute to Cluster API because it is so hard to contribute to. That's actually probably going to be my first real contribution to Cluster API is how to contribute to Cluster API. But if you are interested, maybe we could get a team together to do this because I really think that would be the way to go in the future for a open source platform for your Kubernetes clusters. Anyways, I do have to get going. It's been great. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, but you'll have tons of videos this upcoming 2 weeks. My class is fully recorded, and I have the first 2 episodes recorded, so I'm going to be starting to release those probably on Fridays, so be looking out for those. And yeah, you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and thanks for hanging out. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and really, you guys are a great encouragement to me. Thanks. I will see you guys later.